I am Jen of JennSheelen.com, and I am joined here by my co-host, Doug the dog. Doug, you ready to get started? What do you think? You ready? Can you give me a high five? High five, good boy. Today is Friday, September 16th of 2016, and if you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. You can find me on various forms of social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Tumblr, as well as Ravelry. And I have a Ravelry group as well to talk about the podcast, as well as what's going on with my patterns and all things knitty. So come on and join me over there. Okay, so the podcast that I listened to while setting up today was the Lucky Jenny Knits podcast. And that's Jenny from the Lucky Jenny Knits podcast, and she is so much fun. I'm so glad I found her podcast. She has really, really good energy, and she's just really a lot of fun to watch. So I highly recommend her. Definitely check her out and check out her podcast. Lots and lots of fun. I think she is out of Virginia, if I have to guess. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I'm pretty sure you're out of Virginia. And I can't remember how we connected. I don't remember if it was through Sunshine and Bubblegum or through my jar partner in Crime Paws for Stitches, or how we found each other. But again, I'm really glad I found your podcast, Jenny. It's a joy to watch. So thank you. Yeah? I heard her puppy Jilly has a crush on you. Mm-hmm. He's getting quite popular. I might have to have him do signatures or something. Right, puppy? Poor Dougie has been so itchy with this weather. Of course, we're getting into fall. And he was scritching like crazy, so I finally had to cave and take him to the vet, to which they gave him steroids, which I hate, but I do know they make him better, so he is much less itchy. He does have a little bit of goopy eyes, but he's definitely doing a lot better. Right, buddy? I know it was a bummer, and you hated going to the vet. He was a big chicken at the vet. He usually likes our vet a lot, and he was crouching by the door, and he just wanted to leave. He was not a fan. That's pretty much how I am if I go to the doctor, and I'm pretty sure they're going to put me on a steroid because they are no fun. Just saying. Back to knitting. Okay. Spinning right round. You guys, I finally did some spinning. What? Finally got some time to spin. I was trying to get the second bobbin done of this braid, and I just missed it by this much. But I do have one bobbin to show you. And this is the Malabrigo Noob, which I talked about a few episodes ago, which I love. And I believe the colorway is Potion. Excuse my lighting, it's a little bright, but hopefully you get the idea. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness, there's greens, there's blues, there's purples, there's actually some oranges buried in there too that are really, really pretty. And I cannot wait to ply it. I'm going to do a chain ply, it's what I do. Because I like a 3-ply, I really do. And with 4 ounces, if I try to do, 3 separate bobbins and a 3-ply, I don't do that. I really want to get back into maybe trying some barber pulling, but I don't think it'd be worth it trying it on this yarn because it's so muted. I will get back into that. So for this, it's going to be a chain ply because I'm lazy. And because it's easy and I like to ply that way. But I can't wait. It's going to be so pretty and squishy and soft and oh my goodness. Oh, cannot recommend Malabrigo Noob enough. And what I noticed, and I've mentioned this too, hey, is I definitely had to split the braid into thin strips, and I didn't have to pre-draft at all at that point. Even trying to pre-draft right off the braid itself, like when it was a whole braid, was really, really hard. It just did not want to pull at all. But I noticed when I split it, it was a piece of cake to spin. Split it into nice thin strips. Pretty much as thin as you can go, I'd recommend. And you don't have to pre-draft at all if you're a pre-drafter. Me, it kind of depends. It wasn't even necessary. You could just spin right off of it. Super, super easy. And it loves to be nice and thin and fine. And oh, I can't wait. So excited. I've been spinning, you guys. Finally, I've been spinning. Yes, I have. And Dougie helped by laying in front of me and keeping me company. Right, bud? I know. On to selfish knitting. Okay, so the things I'm going to talk about today, I'm kind of doing all of the things, so I haven't really done a whole lot of selfish knitting. It feels like I've done so much knitting, but then I went to get ready for the podcast and I'm like, what am I going to show them? It was funny. I finished my knitting for Knit Collage and I would show you, but it's currently blocking. I finished I think it was the Cozy Cocoon pillow, so that one is done, as well as the hoodie cowl, and I'll put links to them in my show notes so you can go check them out. Show notes can be found on my website, by the way, jensheelen.com. And all the links to everything I talk about will be in there to make it super easy for you guys to find everything that I've chatted about. Oh, my boxy sweater. I have not touched my boxy sweater. Guilty, as charged. I know. I may actually pull that out tonight. We're having a fire pit tonight. It's nice and chilly at night, and it's like the perfect night for a fire pit because it's gonna get nice and chilly, and I can put on my thick sweater and put on my cozy knit socks, and it'll be fun, and I'll have my knitting. And of course, you know, my boxy right now, I'm in stockinette, so I don't have to really look at it or think about it. And by the light of the fire, I could probably, you know, figure out some errors, and if I wear my little flashlight necklace, I can look at it if I need to. But that'll be a good one probably to work on tonight. We shall see. And then I have, oh my goodness, can you sit? Becky, you sit. Sit. Go, baby. I know you're excited to show this stuff too, right? I have been working on my Victorian Yuletide ornaments from the first set. I haven't knit them in a while, and it's fun, you know, working on your own pattern and like looking at it with fresh eyes when you haven't looked at it for a while. Like as you're knitting it over and over and over again, when you're writing it, you kind of commit it to memory. You put it aside for a while and you almost forget about it. So it was kind of fun to re-knit those and like reread the instructions with fresh eyes just to see if they made sense. And you have a duck butt. Douglas, can you spin? Come here. Come here. You sit. Very good. You stay. You want a cookie again? Okay. Here. There you go. Excuse you. There we go. Okay. So I've been working on my ornaments. Now these are going to look a little funny because they're not totally finished, but I didn't have my ornament balls handy while I was working on them, so I will show you the trick in a second as to what I did with them. But here, my lights are extraordinarily bright today. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Is one, and oh my goodness, it didn't write their names down. What is wrong with me? I have names for each of them. This one I know is Elizabeth, and hopefully she'll show up here. Whoop. There we go. There's Elizabeth. Super, super pretty. The very first ornament that I designed. I believe this one's Isabel. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Isabel again. Nice pretty lace pattern going on there. And the third one is Helena. That's who she is. What did I do with her? Oh, there she is. Still on the needles. But you can get an idea of that cute cable pattern. I love that cable pattern so much. I want to put it in something else. I don't know what it's going to go on, but I love it. Fun, fun cable pattern. I want to say it's a gull cable pattern or something like that. Very, very fun and really, really easy cable. I love that when it's just a easy breezy cable. Simple, but it has such a pretty look. Bingo. Okay, so I mentioned that I didn't have my ornament balls handy when I was working on these, but I wanted to go ahead and start them. So what I did is you can go ahead and knit them without the ornament ball up to almost the very, very end. Here, how about you? Right, buddy? You inspect that? Okay, there we go. So what I did is I'll knit it up to the point where you're supposed to put it on the ornament ball, and then I have it in the instructions, I have you cut about 48 inches of yarn, I believe. And then I take that and I just thread it through the live stitches to hold it. That's why I have these weird little ends here. You'll see. Ta-da! I have all my yarn just kind of tucked into the ornament. And now that I have the ornament ball, I can pop that on and I can finish the pattern and block it and do all my instructions as I'm supposed to. But like I said, I was really eager to get started, and this is a good trick. Like if you don't have ornament balls handy yet, which I did not see them in Michael's yet. They are on Amazon, but if you are, want to go to Michael's and get them and they're not available yet, boom, you can start them. Just thread like your bunch of leftover yarn through it, and ta-da! There you go. Or you can put, scrap yarn and whatever in it too. Just lay it on me. There you go. Nice trick for you if you are eager to get these started, which I am. I mean, Christmas is coming, guys. Are you working on Christmas gifts? I'd love to even think about that, but we'll get to that. Got a little bit on my plate. Just a little bit. Okay. Oh, I dubbed the dog socks, which I talked about the regular pair that I made, but I had enough yarn left over to make an ankle pair. Because that's how I planned these out. So I made a pair of ankle dug socks. Check them out right there. Nice and up close. And this was funny because this was the very beginning of my dyeing on this sock blank. And because I had the sock blank backwards, where I had the part where you actually knit from was on the end of it. And I started over here with the dug the dog. So I had it backwards. I'd rather start on the dug part. But anyway, so it's interesting to see, you know, the progression of dyeing. Like the other socks that I made were a lot darker and they, you know, didn't have as much white. I got a little over eager to finish it. I actually wanted them to look more like that and to have a little bit of white and to have the white flecks in there and a little bit of natural and a little bit more going on instead of just the turquoise and the black. I call it the black. It's actually a deep red. So these really made me happy to knit these out. I'm like, oh, this is what I was going for. And I got too overeager and impatient. So it was a good lesson for me with learning how to dye sock blanks. Right here. Knitting them out totally helped me. Taught me a lesson. Just saying. Oops. I don't know what that was, but okay, what are we on to next? And I know I'm breezing on through this, but I'm so excited to get to the end part. Calm down, Jen. It's okay. All right. But how do I not get excited for this next part? Because it's beverage of choice. Everybody knows this is my favorite part of the podcast, is beverage of choice. All right, what I'm drinking today is kind of a strong one. This one is what you call a sipper. This one is from Pioneer Beer Company, and it's called the New Frontier, and it's a double California style IPA, which I love West Coast IPAs. They got a boatload of bite, and I just love them. West Coast style IPAs all the way, baby. Totally. Here is their beer. Here's their can. And it's a tall boy, too. They're really trying to get you drunk. Because it's 11%. Whew, that's a strong one. I think this is the strongest double IPA I've ever had. And you could tell because it's like packed full of flavor. It's so yummy. We found this we were on our way to Pennsylvania, and I believe we stopped at a liquor store somewhere halfway between home and Pennsylvania in Connecticut. And we love doing that. We love, like, whenever we have to drive far, we love going to other liquor stores outside our territory to pick up new beers and, you know, sample new stuff and whatnot. This one was a winner, and I believe the liquor store owner, the person working there, recommended it too. And I'm like, oh, he wasn't kidding. And he had the same taste in IPAs that I do. He's like, yeah, I like a lot of bite, and those doubles are great. And I'm like, this guy's my friend. So cheers. Oh, man. That's one that bites you back. But it's so good. But again, this one's going to be a sipper. We're going to take our time with this one. It's a little strong. Especially when I'm trying to podcast. I want you guys to actually understand what I'm saying so I'm not slurring my way through it. Okay. Back to it. What I'm styling. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's finally like getting cool out. So yesterday barely hit above like 63. It was chilly out. And I'm like, yes, time for knit goods. Yes. And today it's pretty chilly out too. I mean, well, it's not chilly. In the house it's actually chilly. The house really kind of holds in the cold, which is great for the summer, but not so much when, you know, burr. But I think it's maybe in the low 70s, and that's going to tank by the time we do fire pit tonight, so it'll probably get into the high 50s again would be my guess. So it's knitting time, or it's wearing knitwear time. What's up? I am wearing my Starlight Blooms, and I chose this one for a reason. Really for the colors. I'm like, all right, it's not fall yet, so I really don't want to go for like dark colors. It's still technically summer, sort of. So I wanted to go for bright, fun colors where it's like you can wear the knit goods and stay warm, but you're still bright enough and fun where it still feels like summer. This right there. These colors. Super pretty. Super pretty. And look at my little flower design there. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. I can't even stand it. Look at them, the little flowers and those colors, right? Oh my goodness. totally have that, you know, fun, bright look, but still keep me a little toasty and stylish. I made this out of, I think I jotted it down. Oh yeah, this was Fleece Artist in their cottage sock line, and it's Arctic Sunrise. Perfect, right? Just total, I know. And I have a trick for when you wear, this is a one skein shawl. So it takes about 400 yards, give or take. And sometimes when I put them on bandana style, they kind of like to slip off me over time because you just can't take the ends and you tuck them underneath here. But for me, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, they just kind of go and fall off. But I love wearing them this way. It's just, it feels like really fun and stylish, and I really like it. I have a trick. I have a little shawl pin, ta-da, hidden underneath here. Right there, holding the ends together so that it doesn't go anywhere. Those will kind of slip up sometimes, but what I'll do is I'll just kind of yank those down, and boom, there we go. I think it's tickling my neck because I've been wearing it a while, so I'm getting red. And thought I got past that, you guys. No more red in the neck. If you're new, watch some of my earlier videos, I think especially episode 3, where my neck is like beet red, and I think it's just my thing where I get a little nervous, but I'm not anymore. I think it's just I'm a little, you know, warm and toasty from my little knit goods, and I'm in front of lights, and I don't know, it just happens, but whatever. I'm also styling my watermelon socks. They don't match my shawl at all, and I don't care. And I can wear them, and I don't have them in front of me with my clear chucks. How awesome is that, right? I think this is the first time I'm officially wearing them, because when I knit them, it was too hot out. Now I can finally wear them. And those were from Gail's Art. They were sock blanks from Gail's Art, and she has a shop on Etsy. Love these socks. So fun. So fun. All right, what do I have up next? Showing off. Oh my goodness. This was one of the reasons I really filmed today. Oh my goodness. Okay, calm down. First thing I want to show you is my September club yarn from the Cozy Knitter. This is called Stormy Water. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I can't, it's grays. It's grays and blues and whites. Totally mine, totally my colors. I can't even look at Cozy Knitter. So pretty, so bright. Look at that, look at, I got this in the mail and I was like, oh my God, so pretty. Perfect colors for me. Love it, Christina. Love it. And what did I do? Join the next one too. Actually, I think this was the August colorway. I'm still waiting. September's coming next. This was August. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I joined the October, November, December one too. Because I love her fall colorways and I love her Christmas one. So how could I not? And hook, line, sinker. Totally. Love it. Then to the fun stuff. So if you follow me on Instagram, I've been playing with sock blanks, and I have more to talk about with that, but I'm gonna wait. I've been dyeing sock blanks. I dyed another Doug the Dog one, and it wasn't what I originally intended, so I actually had like a frustrating day where I put some dyes together and I just wasn't happy with how they came out. So I put them aside and I waited till the next day and came up with a new plan. I made kind of a fall, bright, fun Doug the Dog sock blank. Look at these colors. Oh, when I started painting this out, I was like, oh. I originally thought like red leaves or something like that on it, and Frank's like, why don't you just do Doug the Dog in red? And I'm like, bingo. Genius. Man's a genius. Look at how pretty that is. I can't even. Look at, oh, there's a little paw print. As you can see, I already started knitting off of it, but I stopped so that you could see the whole thing. I already started the cuff. Now the good part about this is I like knitting off my blanks, you know, these first ones, to kind of see, you know, I want to check things out. I want to make sure my saturation is good. I want to make sure, you know, I'm dyeing properly, where I'm not overdoing it, I'm not underdoing it. When I go to wash them, I want to make sure I'm using enough, you know, citric acid and enough to set it, and that I'm heat setting it properly. All these good things come from me testing them out and knitting them. And this one's coming out like exactly how I would want it to. It's got a little bit of natural coming through too, to kind of blend and like cut that, you know, gold and the orange. So I don't know if it's gonna pop up because it's a little bright, but let's see. Yeah, it's kind of showing. Ta-da. Really pretty, right? So excited about that one. It's so pretty. Totally not what I had planned at all. That whole day, like whole dyeing day, was not what I originally had intended at all. I kind of just winged it, which is so not my style, but it turned out in my favor. So I gotta do that more often. And the other one, this one really surprised me. This was just, I have no idea what to do with this blank, so I just started painting on it. Now, Frank, who minored in art, was like, you didn't do that right and layer your colors right. I'm like, oh. And I'd already started painting on it, so, oh well. But I made it work. And what I did was I had started painting, look at these flowers, oh, they came up so pretty on screen. I had started painting these pretty flowers in the red, and I had fully intended to just make this whole thing green and do something else with it, but the green was so bright, I'm like, it needs something. I'm not just making this green, I'll be bored. So I painted on it first. I had like started at the one end. You could see how green, like I missed a flower there, because I had just started painting on the green, wasn't happy with it, so I went to the rest of the blank and just started drawing flowers. I did some little circles and some red flowers and had a ball. And then just kind of filled it in with the green. And, you know, why not? Just had a field day with it. It was fun. This one was really popular on Instagram too. I was really surprised for something that I threw together, and I think like I could do it a little bit neater or whatnot, but like looking at it again, you know, with fresh eyes, I really like it. And I really think it'll be very, very pretty once it's knit out. So speaking of that, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, knit them out, and I'll probably do a plain vanilla sock again because, you know, I like to see how the colors fleck, and that's the best way to do it. Out to dinner with Frank Sheelen the other night, and he goes, you should really design a pattern to go with that. That would be a good idea. And I'm like, damn it, Sheelen. I'm like, you're killing me right now. I have so many things going on. And he's throwing another pattern in there. I'm like, it's a really good idea, so how do I not do it? The good news is, I'm already brewing one. Yes, I am. I can't wait. I'll talk about that later too. This little teaser there. I'm just going to dangle that there for a minute. But he was right, and I think it was a good idea. Now, these, and I was explaining to Frank, I'm like, all right, you don't want to go too busy with a pattern with socks like these, because you don't want the pattern to get lost. I mean, this yarn is going to be really busy. It's going to be lots of flecks of red, green, and some of the sections will have just a bit of green, but we are going to get, you know, a lot with flecks with all those reds. So it's going to be a busy yarn, which is fun, but you don't want to put like all this work into the pattern just to have it lost. You got to pick your pattern. Now, for some, that's totally fine. But for others, especially for me, I don't want to put all that work into it and just have it disappear. Like, picture your cables that you really want to pop. If you do them in a really busy yarn, they're not really the shining. You know, you really want to pick a yarn to make the cables shine in that case. You know, enough, they want them to complement each other, let's put it that way. So I was explaining that to Frank, and he's like, all right, yeah, I guess that makes sense, yeah. And I'm like, it better. So I think I have a plan there. The man's a genius. However, he just added more to my plate. Frank Sheelen, oh my goodness, you're killing me. You're killing me. All right, calm down, Jen. Back to it. Okay, now on to giveaways. I'm not going to go too much into giveaways because I mention this every episode. I have the jar along going with my jar partner in crime, Candy from the Pause for Stitches podcast. Definitely go check out her podcast too. She's a lot of fun, and I love her puppies. And then I love when Jamie comes in, her husband has his little segment at the end too. It's so much fun because she taught him how to knit. I love it. Love it. Frank's not into it. He's like, you're just tying knots. I'm like, you know how many knitters would be upset by that? I shouldn't have shared it. I'm going to ruin his rep. But anyway, for giveaways, we are running our jar along all the way through December. So come out and check out my show notes or go to my group to check out the rules. And the featured jar of the month is up there behind me, right there. The paint jar. I wonder if I can pull that down without making a mess. And I'm using it as a vase. Look at how pretty that is. Right? I love using it as a vase. I think that color was absolutely perfect for it. And I used it with a tea light too, and it was so pretty and so soft and lovely. But just as I finished knitting it, Frank came home with those Just Because flowers, and I was like, oh, and they matched perfectly with the jar. I'm like, how does he do it? I don't know how he does it. He's good. That's how he can get away with adding to my plate and giving me all these genius ideas. Just saying. Okay, so Pixie Petals is the featured jar for September. You don't have to knit that jar for the jar along. You can knit any of the Jenn Sheelen jars you want and enter them. And like I said, come on over to the group or to my show notes to check out the rules. And then the other knit alongs, there's actually two that I'm sponsoring. I think it's only two at the time. We still have Actually Knitting. I think that one is still going too. Along with the Pigskin Party with Jen Lasan of Down Cellar Studio podcast. Actually Knitting, I just mentioned her, of the Actually Knitting podcast. And what's the other? Oh, the Yarniacs one. Duh. Jenn Sheelen. Band. The Colors of Fall knit along. I am sponsoring prizes as well. Definitely check out all three. On to knit reading. Breeze right into that. Okay, so I've knit read. I've knit read a lot. Now you're thinking, Jen, you have all this stuff going on. How can you possibly have time? Because I'm smart and I pick all these patterns that I can read and knit at the same time. That's how I sneak in my reading. I'm like, or I do audiobooks, which has been a huge help lately because I just have been, especially with the ornaments, some of them have a little bit of lace work going on and I'm a little nervous to look away while knitting them. So it's awesome to have an audiobook on hand as well. The audiobook I've been listening to is Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. Oh. And the other one is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. I actually switched right into that yesterday. I think I started that. And it's funny, I actually did these books totally out of order. I did the third one first. I hate when I do that. So now I kind of now I know the end with some of the characters and something like that and how they interact. But it's kind of cool listening to these to kind of see how they got to that point. So I don't mind it too much in this case. It's okay. The other book I read was The Cursed by Heather Graham. That one was really good. Oh my goodness. So I love her books. But now I'm trying to move on. I've been reading so many of hers. I really want to try to move on. However, I'm reading Devil's Mistress by Heather Graham. The only difference is it's historical romance versus today, here and now, today. So, or current. And I love me a good historical romance. Little steamy. Awesome. It's a good one. Right in the beginning, I was like, oh my. It's good. So I'm already roped into it. It's awesome. And don't judge me. I know some people will. I am reading Grey by E.L. James. I know. People with the Grey books. I know. 50 Shades of Grey. I'm sorry. I read them. I read them all. Train wreck, but I read them all. And I wanted to know the backstory. It's really, when people see an accident and they all slow down to look, same idea with these books. I'm like, well, I gotta know. I need closure. Yeah, so I'm reading it. Don't judge. Don't judge. I'm sure we've all read different books and people would be like, oh, scandal. That's me. I'm okay with it. I'm owning it. Totally. Is that all I'm reading? Cuckoo's Call? Yep, those are all knit reading for now. Those should take me a while because the Grey book is 1,300 pages or something like that. And that one I can only read when knitting stuff that I can, don't have to look. And same with now Devil's Mistress, which is what I have to read. So now I'm kind of flipping between the two. Historical steamy versus current steamy. And then listening to the other book in between. Getting a lot of reading in. Haven't been watching a lot of shows. A little bit. Frank and I are watching Blacklist again. We finally got to see season 3 is on Netflix. We've been waiting for it. And I heard season 4 is about to come out. So now we know to DVR that so that we don't have to wait months and months for it to hit Netflix. Who thought of that one? This girl right here. We're watching Blacklist. I'm like, man, I wonder when the next one comes out. And Frank Googled it. He's like, oh my goodness, it's about to come out. I'm like, genius. Thank you. Right? But it's good. I kind of like that I'm listening to books and reading a little bit more than watching TV while knitting. It kind of, gives me a break from, the screen. I'm in front of a computer screen in the morning, for a good half the day for work. And then going right to a TV screen, it's kind of nice to have that little bit of a break, Even though I know I'm looking at a screen for reading because I do it on my iPad. But still, it's just something a little different. And it kind of lets my imagination go and all that. I like that. It's good stuff right there. I'm stalling. Because I'm up to what's up with my patterns. And, yeah, you guys, I'm up to no good. I'm doing all of the things. All of the things. You guys know I'm a designer, so I've been designing. I'm a knitter and a spinner. I'm a podcaster. What is the next natural thing that I could do? I'm going to dye yarn. What? Oh my goodness, you guys. I'm gonna dye yarn. And I'm waiting, I'm like waiting for the knock on the door or to hear the giant box hit my front porch because it should show up today. Big box of yarn. Ginormous. I know. I'm like a little nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness. I am gonna hand paint yarn. For you guys to put on my site. What? I know. So I will be dyeing yarn, and I actually hear a big truck outside. I bet that's them. Oh my god. Could you imagine if that happened right now as I'm talking about it? That'd be amazing. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to be dyeing yarn, hence why I've been playing with the sock blanks, because I do plan on dyeing sock blanks, but I do plan on dyeing skeins as well. But like I said, I'm going to hand paint them. I really want to try that because I really like getting into it with the sock blanks and painting, so I want to try that with skeins. How excited am I? You guys, are you excited? Jenn, Sheelen yarn. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't. I'm so excited. And the whole reason I am knitting the ornaments is because I'm finally going to sell finished items on my website as well. So for any non-knitters who watch the podcast, I will be selling finished items. So if you've looked at these and said, man, I wish I could actually make that, but I don't knit, ta-da! I will have them on my website. And I'm starting with ornaments because we are getting close to Christmas and they make good Christmas gifts. They will be up there soon. I'm knitting like the wind. At least I'm trying. Between testing my sock blanks and between working on my stuff for knit collage, which is now done, and all of the things. And then any selfish knitting I want to, throw in there, hence why I haven't worked on Boxy. This is why. I've been a little busy. I know. Can you believe it? And designing. Now do you see? When Frank came up, he said you have to design a sock pattern to go with this. Do you see why I'm like, you're killing me? So I will have socks. I will have yarn coming soon. I have a nice superwash merino that's coming. And of course I have an MCN blend that's coming too. And whoever knows me knows I'm going to get sparkles. Oh, there will be sparkles. And I got them in both gold and silver. Yes, I did. Sock blanks too. What? And threw in a little tweed there. Oh yes, I did. They were so nice. The supplier was amazing. Sent me this giant box of samples so I could really touch and feel all of their yarn and really get a feel for what I liked and what I wanted to order. Because it's hard to order when you haven't really touched and felt it. And you don't want to and not like it, or order however many skeins and be like, I don't like it. This way I was able to be like, oh, really see what I was going to be ordering and working with and commit to it. Awesome. So great. Oh my goodness. So that'll be coming soon. I can't wait. But keep following me on Instagram and I'm sure I will be loading pictures of my finished skeins and all that. I don't have a date set yet for when I expect to launch them. I just hope, please be patient with me. I apologize that it's going to take a little time. I know I'm announcing this early. Frank and I are also going to be going on an anniversary vacation soon. We're finally, we did our 5-year anniversary, but we really wanted to do a vacation for it and had to postpone it. We're finally doing that. It's all romantic and stuff. That will delay me dyeing yarn, but I'm okay with it. Because it's for romance and I'm alright with that. Who isn't, right? I mean, who wouldn't put romance first? I will put romance before yarn. There isn't much that I would put before yarn, but romance will come first, as well as my dog. Just saying, right? What would you put before yarn? It's hard to say, right? I know. I love yarn a lot, but my hubby's taking me for a romantical week away, so it'll be fun. I can't wait. Stop it. I get all giggly when I think about it. I'm like, he's gonna spoil me rotten, and I can't wait. Okay, I'm done. That's really all I have for you guys today. Oh, wait a minute. Jenn, Sheelen. I got all into dyeing yarn and all that, and I didn't talk about what's sitting right there behind me. That was another reason I actually did the podcast, was to talk about them. I got a little overexcited. I'm sorry, guys. All right. I designed 2 jars, so I did that and knit those while all this is going on too, is I designed 2 new jars. I designed the pumpkin jar, which I mentioned in the last episode, is done. Look at how cute he is. How cute he is. And I did it with the ribs so it looks like a pumpkin. And what I did was I did lace eyelets for the face and I outlined them in black so they really pop when he's lit. So cute. I can show you one without. So I did one with the black eyelet lining and then one without. I don't know if it'll show really on my hand, but I can try. So you can do it without too, so it's a little bit more subtle, but I really thought that really using that thin black yarn around it or even some thread really makes the face pop, especially when it's all lit up. Oh, I can't even. The other jar that I made, and I have to thank Colleen again, Colleen Sheelen, my partner in crime, my muse. Oh my goodness, came up with the awesome idea for this jar. So I was thinking I'd really like to knit a bat jar, and Michelle, my other partner in crime, actually gave me the idea. She's like, oh man, you should really do bats. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thought about it. Yeah, so I figured out a bat pattern. But then in talking to Colleen, she's like, man, that's a really pretty pattern. You should do it in a soft color and call it Night and Day. And I'm like, that's a really good idea. It's genius. It really is. So this, and it's hard to say, I will insert a picture here. Of it lit up, so you can see, you can really get a feel for the bats. Look at how pretty, so you see them in there? Right there, where you actually see the bats. When that is lit up, the flame, the candle, like the glow from the candle goes through the eyelets and puts like little shadows of bats on the wall. It's so great. Oh, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that came out better than I thought it would. But then picture it in a soft yarn that you would perhaps use as a vase. Or just do a soft glow, you know, tea-light glow. Night and Day, thank you very much. Right there. Yep. Look how pretty that is. But then look at it in that. I know, right? I know. Colleen, you're a genius. Night and Day. Totally. Oh my goodness. And this one I actually used, now Sarah from Sarah's Texture Crafts had sent me that little pack of yarn, right? And I was going to use it for another Pixie Petals. This purple, Sarah, was perfect for this jar. I really didn't want to use black, and I'm like, a really dark, like I have a dark blue, but the purple, bam, was just so, it screams Halloween to me. It's perfect, and it's sparkly. Are they going to show up? Maybe a little, kind of no, but maybe not really showing up for me. But oh my goodness, sparkly yarn, and it's purple. So pretty. Perfect. Those are the two patterns that I am going to release. I'm hoping by the beginning of next week. I'd like to get pattern photos done this weekend, and my testers are working on the jars now. Once they are done, and once the photos are done, I can release the patterns to you guys. So be on the lookout. I will announce it across all forms of social media so you don't miss it. And that's what I got. Be on the lookout for them if you would like to knit them. There we go. And I even had my little prop up here too. I had them all propped up there and I still forgot. I got all excited about that big box of yarn coming. But again, who doesn't get excited for yarn? I mean, come on, it's yarn. How do I not get excited about that? I mean, hello. Just saying. Probably do a drinking game to this episode to how many times I said just saying. I think I have a catchphrase in each one. So you could probably create a drinking game just around my podcast. All right, Dougie, you want to say goodbye? You lazy dog. Can you up? Do you want a cookie? Oh, his head perks up. Would you like one? Can you up all the way? Very good. What'd you think, buddy? This good stuff? You think your mama's nuts? A little bit. Give me a high five. High five to that, buddy. Good boy. Oh, you kept me good company, right? That's really his job. As my, oh my goodness, I'm turning beet red. Jenn, Sheelen, man. See, I get overexcited about all this stuff, and I'm in front of the lights, and I'm all like, look at this, doing all this stuff, and I get a little excited. It's okay. It's my trademark. We'll just fan. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you soon. Happy knitting!